What tight end just cemented himself as a number one pick at the NFL Combine this evening? What's the exciting show announcement that we have for you in tonight's broadcast? And what are you supposed to do with George Pickens now that he's officially tagged by the Dallas Cowboys? Plus, Kevin Schonewolf, the $10,000 winner in the FFPC Super Bracket competition in 2025, joins us to talk many things, including Jalen Waddle, rookie running backs, Woody Marks, and more. Stick around. We've got a great show for you. I'm Eric Balkman. Ferrell Elliott is here. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour starts now.
Can't stand the pressure. I've seen greater men than need a lesson.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now watching the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. Welcome to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Ferrell Elliott. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for analysis from the best players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Ferrell Elliott.
Solace in the scripture. Are we not all our father's sons? I became a man. Nobody ever told me what a man was.
Thank you, Rob. Greetings and salutations to all of you Balkaholics and Ferrelliacs. Welcome into the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. My name is Eric Balkman. I'm your slightly above average host, and my co-host is the definitive commissioner of fantasy football, one Ferrell Elliott. Coming up on tonight's show, we've got a lot to get to, including the latest testing results we've gotten from the Combine on the tight ends. We're also going to get into Travis Hunter and what you need to be doing with him in best ball drafts, as well as a visit from one Kevin Schonewolf, who is the defending Super Bracket champion entering into the 2026 FFPC season. He'll join us to talk about Amari and Hampton, Harold Fannin, some rookies, and so much more on the show tonight. If you want to connect with us on X, please do so at HSFF Hour. At Eric Balkman is where I'm at. And of course, check out the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship at KFFSC.com. I'm signed up for some slow drafts in there. Let's get those rolling with some more people signing up. That'd be awesome. And you can draft against me. It'll be a lot of fun. High Stakes Fantasy Football at gmail.com is where to go if you want to email us if you have any questions. And we'll try to get to all the chat room questions, X posts, and emails on the fantasy feedback segment coming up later on in the show. Thanks to our audio engineer and my best friend Bryce and our producer and mutual friend Rob. Want to remind everybody too, there's a lot going on with the FFPC. Obviously, with the Combine going on, everybody's got rookie fever. We're watching the tight ends. We're watching the running backs, receivers, and quarterbacks going forward here this weekend. Going to be an exciting time to be a dynasty owner. If you want to be one, you can be one for just $1. Plenty of dynasty orphans and Empire Dynasty orphans with the Fantasy Football Players Championship available now at myffpc.com. Those leagues normally go from anywhere from $77 all the way up to $5,000. We have plenty that are discounted way down there to $1 right now. So you're basically getting the team for free. Dip your toes in the dynasty water. It is fine, and you'll love it. Play fantasy football year-round at myffpc.com. Coming up at the start of the NFL draft, we'll be shutting down two tournaments we have going on right now. The FFPC Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament and the FFPC Never Too Early Superflex Best Ball Tournament. $125 and $35 to enter those respectively, but they both feature five-figure grand prizes. $40,000 grand prize for the classic, and then $10,000 for the Superflex version. FFPC Big Gorilla and Baby Gorilla are live as well. The Big Gorilla, once again, a $350 entry, $1 million grand prize. The 7 Bananas and early Rampage tournament promos are available right now, myffpc.com. And the Baby Gorilla, if you've been wanting to play high-stakes fantasy football, now is the time. $125 is all cost you to draft the team, and you can still win $100,000. All these tournaments and more available at myffpc.com. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment on the video, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, and get notified each and every time we go live, which is kind of what we're talking about to open up the show tonight. I cannot do it without the help of my good buddy, the co-host with the most, Ferrell Elliott, joining me tonight. Ferrell, the Combine was fun today with the tight ends, man. How are you?
I am good, buddy. A little road weary, but I'm glad to be home. And it was it was a very good time at the Combine. People have texted me and they say, "Ferrell, do you see anything developing at the Combine? You see?" And I'm not looking at players. I'm in the JW Marriott doing business. And the sitting outside the Starbucks, and the whole world of football walks by. I spoke a little bit with Tom Pelissaro this week, some of the other media types. I told them, I said, you take a back seat to Balky. If you want to see a true professional, you need to look at Balky. And they take that under advisement. Charles Davis promised to watch the show and catch up with the show when he returned. But all in all, a really great trip.
I just assumed Charles Davis was watching it this whole time.
Yeah, he probably should. Yeah, it's where he's getting his good stuff. That's where he looks a little looser on air, and I think that we've got something to do with that.
We do the prep work for him. He just
exactly
looks
right
good on camera doing it. Okay, without further ado, I've been teasing this on X. I've been teasing it in the FFPC mailers all week. We have an exciting announcement about the show tonight, and I didn't want to leave people hanging in case you're just tuning in for that. Which, listen, we know you're not, but we don't want to leave you hanging. So basically, we were talking about now. This is I believe, the 15th year we've been doing this show. And Ferrell, I don't know how many years you've been doing it, but it's been damn near half the time.
Well, I guested with you very, very early, and I suppose I've been there at least once in all the shows. But when you and the Dizzle did it, it was I never missed a show. I always listened.
Yeah. And I think you were. Dave was never, the Dizzle was never on camera. That was audio only. So you are like your own video co-host on this show. So basically what we ran into was situations with Friday nights, especially you, Ferrell, who is going to high school football games, college football games. Obviously you represent a lot of musical acts as well. And it's just easier for you to not do the show on Fridays because of your duties.
Well, I set all that stuff aside to be with you, Bo.
Right, I know, I know, and we don't want to force you to do that, right? We still want to. At least I do. I want to do the show with you continuously. So
have a nice week.
What we are going to be doing to alleviate this is a couple of things. So this show in its current form will continue to be weekly year round. However, instead of being 10 p.m. on Fridays, it will be 10 p.m. on Wednesdays. That will start next week, March 4th. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour moves into Wednesday night at 10 p.m. And now for those of you who are wondering, oh my goodness, you guys made my Friday night. Friday nights was always so great watching the HSFF Hour. Well, Ferrell came up with a great idea and we're implementing it as well. So what we're doing, starting next week, we will record the show. We will do the show live Wednesday. And then afterwards, anybody who's hanging out in the chat who wants to do a bonus show with us, perhaps maybe even the guests will want to hang out a little bit longer and do an extra bonus show as well. If not, Ferrell and I'll just do an extra bonus show. We are going to record a show Wednesday night. It's only going to be about a half hour or so, but that show will then air 10 p.m. on Friday night. So you still get an HSFF hour fix on Friday night. The name of that show, and Ferrell, I'm proud to tell everyone that you chose the name of it. We got graphics and everything for it. It will be HSFF hour extra reps. Okay. So now the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour in its current form, 10 p.m. Wednesdays, High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour extra reps, 10 p.m. Fridays. That Wednesday show will be live. Friday show will be recorded. Friday show will be about a half hour. So you're actually getting more Balky and Ferrell in your lives. And consider this too, along with the RotoViz High Stakes Slowdown and the FFPC Insider Access show during the NFL season. Now you can watch the NFL Sunday and Monday nights, and then we will have FFPC content for you Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Friday night. It's as Michael Scott would say, it is a win-win-win. So once again, 10 p.m. Wednesday will be our live show slot going forward. Extra reps will be 10 p.m. Friday nights going forward, and that starts next week. Now, we still will do the occasional Friday show. I know like Genesis and Revelations will be covering that coming up in May. We will probably do, at most a handful of Friday shows throughout the year.
Probably in August too, don't you think, Balky?
Well, we might in August. Yeah. We'll see what happens on that going forward. We'll definitely let you know. But for everybody who is planning their schedule, Wednesday night, HSFF hour, 10 p.m. Eastern time, starting next week. An exciting time to be alive, Ferrell. It's really the biggest change in show history outside of us switching to video however many years ago it was. This is probably the next biggest change we've ever had.
Yeah, and people finally got over that, the horror of seeing the video. But, I think our extra show will be very, very entertaining. And I believe on Thursday night after the free agency is run, that's going to have a great conversation and be part of our show and commentary as well. So I'm looking forward to it. I think the continuity of also you having a little family time on Friday night might not be a bad idea.
My wife and kids were definitely excited when I told them about it as well. And by the way, shout out to Alex Kaganovsky and Dave Gerzak, the co-founders of the FFPC, who signed off on this. And Ferrell, I forgot to tell you, Dave wanted me to let you know that he really didn't want us to switch off Friday nights, but because he likes you so much, he said, yeah, go ahead and switch to Wednesdays. So you guys.
That's our guy. That's our guy.
So there you go. That's your big announcement. And I'll remind everybody about that change going forward at the end of the show as well. Okay. We have to get into what happened at the Combine. We got Kevin Schonewolf coming up in a few minutes here. We're going to talk to him. But Ferrell, I think the big news this evening was Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon, who ran the fastest 40-yard dash of any tight end in NFL scouting combine history, at least since 2003. So in at least 23 years, officially a 4.3940. It was better than the previous mark of 4.4 set by, do you know who's had the previous record set in 2000?
I guess that'd be Vernon probably. Vernon was there. Probably Ingram was in that mix somewhere.
He might have been. I just know Vernon Davis was a 4.4. Somebody named Doran Dickerson in 2010 also had a 4.4. But Sadiq runs 4.39. He is 6'3", 241 pounds. Now, here's the concern. When we look ahead to Dynasty rookie drafts, we look ahead, not even looking ahead when we're drafting right now in FFPC and KFFSC, you don't want to double count this because we knew Sadiq was going to be fast. We knew he was going to be athletic, right? And we don't want to double count this and move him up even more on our draft boards. I don't know if he was going to break the record, Ferrell, but he did. This dude can move.
Movement skills as well as explosion, and you don't naturally you don't get that kind of 40 without explosion. I watched him; he ran the 4.4 twice, and they took the second 4.4 down to 4.39, and they've done that quite often through the combine this week. What's overlooked is his vertical. A guy with that kind of size, a 43-inch vertical. That's tremendous for dynasty drafters. He's 20 years old. He turns 21 next week, but he's a very, very young player coming into the league with explosive skills. He's a great pass catcher too, 51 catches. He had some big games. The team did not do well against Indiana, and I thought he would be a go-to player in that game, and they took that away from the Oregon offense. But that's all beside the point. I don't think you can, in our tight end premium, and you're playing for the future as a dynasty player, I don't think you can ignore what you've got here in this player. And we need to keep looking at it because he overshadowed all the tight ends, but quickly behind him was one of my favorites, Eli Stowers, who we've talked about on the show before. Eli, New Mexico State product who transferred to Vanderbilt, recruited and coached by my good friend Nelson Fishback. I've known Eli. I've known of Eli a long time, and Eli's was right at 4.5 or perhaps sub 4.5, and he's another player. You can see that explosive skills, and when our guys are watching the combine this week. What's really good is watching the starts, especially especially at the receiver and tight end position, because that translates to the field. Good first step, good players getting open, catching the ball, running with it after they caught it.
So you mentioned Stowers, and I think it's interesting because Sadiq had a broad jump of 11.1, which was the highest in the combine until Eli Stowers did it a few minutes later, and he went 11.3. You mentioned Sadiq getting 43.5 on the vertical. That was the highest until Stowers did 45.5.
Mhm.
That was the best mark in the last 23 years for a tight end at the combine. Now it's interesting here, and I'll let you. I have a thought on this, and maybe it's obvious, maybe it's not, but I want to let you weigh in on this. According to Fantasy Mojo, Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament ADP right now, fantasymojo.com at Fantasy Mojo on X. Darren Armani runs that website. He runs that X account. He is the godfather of the FFPC Pros versus Joes. Anytime we cite ADP on the show, it's coming through straight from him. Highly recommend you get a subscription if you play in the FFPC. Kenyon Sadiq is tight end 12 right now at the 8-10 in the Never Too Early tournament. And yet Stowers, tight end 32 at the 1704. Ferrell, for two guys that are this close athletically, why are 9 rounds separating these two players in the Never Too Early tournament?
Vanderbilt versus Oregon. That's all it is to it. But look, SEC football, you can't go wrong at any school. And then that's and Stowers will continue to grow and move up there. But we get it. Look, there's some other guys that really, really like. I love the story. The German kid Klein, who went to Michigan, played behind your Colston Loveland. Told his family he wanted to come and be an American football player. Didn't even speak English, so they sent him over here to play football. I love that story. The player from LSU, Sharp. I like the looks of that player. There's a lot of players in this tight end group to look at and understand, and there's great athleticism there. I loved watching the gauntlet. I think the tight end, the gauntlet with testing for the tight ends is always the most enjoyable to me. You see guys coasting through it, trying to concentrate on the catch. You see guys really moving who are natural pass catchers. Those are the guys that you want. Those are guys that will get into camp and get busy moving quick. It's just a lot to be learned from, we can't dig into the whole nuance of the combine, but there's a lot for the fantasy players to be learned just using their eyes for the 10 or 12 minutes that they could break down some of the testing for the position drills.
Dwayne McFarland from Fantasy Life, he just did his Talk Data to Me podcast. He also produced an article regarding this, and he said, I believe it was him that said that the tight end position has the most to gain at the NFL Combine, more so than other, quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end has the most to gain. So we're watching them today. Obviously, we'll be able to delve into the data coming up on that later tonight and tomorrow for sure to get our tight end combine fix. And then we get, Ferrell, do we get backs, receivers, and quarterbacks all tomorrow as well?
I know we get wide receivers. And so if you get receivers, you got to get some quarterbacks. So that's in there. It's all forthcoming. And, if you look at the schedule, a printed schedule landed in front of me. There's the time on the field is about 20% of the combine. The meetings and the medicals and more meetings and more interviews. And it's I would imagine the players are pretty antsy to get out on that field. So hopefully it's going to be a very entertaining weekend for fantasy players to watch this.
Our friend of the show, Stacey Perez, at the NFL Combine. I've been watching a lot of the stuff she's been putting out on X, talking to some of the rookie receivers, Mekhi Lemon. She met Laura Rutledge. Had an interview with Laura Rutledge from ESPN, which was very cool as well. So be following Stacey Perez on X as well. And by the way,
Stacey's doing a great job. We tried to get together for lunch yesterday, couldn't do it. Tried to get together again today. She's busy splicing up film and editing thing. She's really found a passion and a direction in this aspect of new media, and she's really enjoying it. I'm so proud of her. I'm so happy for her.
At Stacey Perez, at Stacey_Perez 83. You'll get to see all the videos that she's been putting out there. Great stuff from her at the Combine. Okay, we have to get to our guest here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, we'll bring him in right now. A winner of numerous FFPC leagues over the years, plays in some of the highest stakes ones we have, high society, what have you. The reason we're bringing him on tonight is that he, as the 28th seeded team, outlasted everybody else in the 2025 FFPC Super Bracket to win the $10,000 grand prize. Ladies and gentlemen, you follow this guy, or you should follow this guy on X at K-Scone78. Please welcome aboard Mr. Kevin Schonewolf. Kevin, welcome in, man. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
It's exciting to have you on. Certainly, the pleasure is all on this side of the camera for sure. We were just talking about the combine. I know you're a dynasty player. Did you watch much of the tight ends today from Indianapolis?
I did not get to see any of the tight ends today. I know you guys were talking about Sadiq, and that does not surprise me. Athletic freak. I would expect him to have some of those higher metrics. With those, but the numbers are always fun. Yeah. But it is kind of more the draft capital. What do they actually see? And more of the college film too, but it is exciting for the combine too to see.
There's more to come, Kevin.
Yeah,
but don't worry if you missed it. NFL Network will show that at least 1,000 times.
Right.
By the way, I just checked too. We have quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers tomorrow, starting at 1 p.m. So they're from the combine. So we'll get all three of those tomorrow. It's going to be, and I think a lot of things with the combine too. It's just like, we had the Super Bowl a few weeks ago or whatever it was. We don't get into real football again until the draft. So this is like kind of tiding us over. It's the crudité, as it were, of the NFL season as we ingest that. Okay, Kevin, let's talk fantasy football with you. First off, when you are not winning the super bracket and crushing these other FFPC leagues, what are you doing for a living?
I actually work in health insurance, so that keeps you busy. That's always involving industry, so that's what I do for a living. So that keeps me busy on the day to day.
How long have you been doing that, Kevin?
About 25 years.
Wow! Congratulations. Nice job. Nice work.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Kevin, you're in your office now?
In my home office, I am. Yes.
And where might that home office be, sir?
I am Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's right up the road, buddy. Good for you.
Yeah, not too far from where you guys are at.
There you go.
Balkman a little bit further for you, but we're not too far away.
Well, congrats on that super bracket win. You think about all the close calls and all the games, the nail biters and the proverbial edge of our seat. Did you have, going through the super bracket with the head-to-heads, did you have some week-to-weeks that you had some special endings that you were glad to see all the zeros on the scoreboard and when the time ran out and you were on top?
Yeah, tough to think back, but I remember it a little odd when you're playing head to head and the other guy has the same player as you or multiple. So there's a little bit of that, looking at that, it's like, do I play that player too? All depending. So that was an interesting factor to it. Definitely the first 3 weeks kind of played to the level of the competition. From what I can recall, it was some of them were low scoring, but just edged out, and others were high scoring and edged out. It just and I know weeks 16 and 17, were tight as well. But the first 3 weeks getting to those final two were very tight. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting factor. And by all means, I did not have the best team of all that made the playoffs. I was just very fortunate to be matched up against the people I was matched up against.
Don't let him get away with that, Balky. Come down hard. Kevin, you had the damn best team. You won the thing. You had the best team. That's the end of story.
Thanks, Ferrell.
I think that's the thing. It's just like, how is the main event and the Big Gorilla decided? It's whoever gets hot in those final weeks, when the money's paid out. So whether it's the main event, Big Gorilla, Super Bracket, Terminator, Baby Gorilla, never too early. It's just all about getting hot at the right time.
Exactly.
Like things fell into place. The championship game, if I remember correctly, that might have been the largest margin of victory you guys you had the whole super bracket, right? That was like a 50-point victory or something.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. There wasn't, obviously some sweat going into the game, but as it panned out, it wasn't as much of a sweat. But yeah, the other matchups were definitely a lot closer than that one.
Let's talk about it. I want to look back, but also look ahead. And I picked some of the players that were on your championship super bracket team. Jalen Waddle was one of them, and I think he's an interesting player this year because he's not going to be competing for targets with Tyreek Hill. Quite frankly, he's not going to be competing for targets with essentially a lot of people on this team right now. You know, last year it was such a concentrated passing attack. Darren Waller, when he was out there, certainly, I mean, you know, he had some good games, but he was hurt quite a bit. Devon Achane obviously made some noise catching the ball. But outside of that, there wasn't a whole lot. And now you folded into this year, no Tyreek Hill, probably a new quarterback, definitely a new head coach, definitely a new offense, definitely a new offensive coordinator. So there's a lot of stuff going on with Jalen Waddle right now. And I think I don't think he's a polarizing player necessarily, but there's definitely different ways of looking at him in the Never Too Early tournament right now. As it stands at the moment, how do you feel about Jalen Waddle, wide receiver 22 at the 506? He's right by Devonta Smith, Luther Burden, Emeka Egbuka right now. What kind of a season do you think Waddle's going to have, Kevin?
Yeah, at 506, I would probably lean towards being in on him. I was in on him last year relatively for where he was going. I mean, you know, he was, I think, a 6th rounder last year or in that area, you know, slightly below where he's at now. Frustrating player. If you had him and you watch him, it's like every other series he goes out with some injury, limps off. It's like, what are we doing? You know, so it, you know, frustrating. But yes, a lot of opportunities coming up this year. I think the price he's going at now is probably a little bit of a bargain. You know, there's definitely opportunity there and to exceed that. You know, he is, you know, has a higher ceiling there. But yeah, it's tough. Slowick, not a great track. You had one good year in Houston and then one bad year. It's just, you know, so what do you believe there is kind of a question too. But all the opportunity in the world, and I would be in on that price. You know, I would think that's more of a flourish kind of range where he's going now.
To your point, Kevin, Jalen Waddle last year ended the season as wide receiver 28 at the 603 in FFPC Main Event drafts. Now this is best ball. We're kind of comparing.
Yep.
You know, we're comparing Fuji apples to Granny Smith apples here. So it's not exactly the same thing, but it's not totally different either. So he was going a little bit later last year. He's moved up a little bit, obviously, with no Tyreek Hill. And I think that's how we have to look at it, especially when you consider a lot can happen with Miami. A lot of things can look a lot better for the Dolphins going forward than they do right now. And maybe Waddle shoots up to that mid 4th round or early 4th round. And right now you get him at that mid 5th. I'm with you. I think he's a player that you want to be in business with at that price.
I agree too, Balky. And that's why we draft early, Kevin. Balky and a bunch of other guys joined us here. Amongst them was James Hicks and Scott Christian. They're in the chat, Balky. You know what we got to do.
Oh, yeah. We got to find my oinker here.
We got to say hello to those guys properly. And I mean, you know, my oinker's moving a little slower. But, you know, while they were here, Kevin, they joined all the other drafters in elevating Marion Hampton's draft spot as high as the late 1st round. Typically 13, 14, 16 was about the latest that he went. I think he's a top 5 running back coming up this year, but I'm more interested in what the champion yourself has to think about what you're doing with Hampton for this upcoming season.
Yeah, and I don't want to what he did last year, you know, influence what I would think for this upcoming year, obviously with the injury and being out for, you know, 8 to 10 weeks, whatever it may have been. Yeah, I mean, definitely potential there. In my opinion, that seems a little high, you know, at the kind of turn, at least in my opinion. Just, I don't know what they're going to do in his 2nd year, because when he came back, they were definitely cautious with how they rolled him back out, and rightfully so, you know, just coming off of that injury. So I'd be curious to see what is their depth going to be at back, in the backfield? I know Najee Harris is just on a 1-year deal, so he's gone, and obviously coming off that injury anyway. Vidal, I don't know if he's there, but they did, seem to trust and like him. So there, there's some, some things there, but most people are in a kind of committee. If it's 60-40, there's very few running backs that are there. I would think you need to be close to, double-digit touchdowns or 50 receptions to kind of pay off that value.
Mm-hmm.
Do you view the Mike McDaniel offensive coordinator hire as a boon for his fantasy value rather than if it was like Greg Roman again, say this year?
I would say that's a little bit of a bump in my opinion. I would say that's definitely helpful to his value.
The situation I seem to be bringing up every week on the show, people are probably sick of me talking about, except for Jason Kahn, who probably wants more Cleveland Browns talk on this show.
Yeah, everybody loves it.
The Cleveland Rocks. Drew Carey said so. The quarterback situation in Cleveland, we don't know what it's going to be. Watson, Sanders, Gabriel, perhaps somebody else, Malik Willis, Kyler Murray, Kirk Cousins, who the heck knows, right? Knowing that we don't necessarily focus on any of those quarterbacks as players that are going to help us win fantasy titles, but there are players that those quarterbacks are throwing to that will help us win fantasy titles. As a Herald fan and Dynasty owner, what's your level of concern about the nebulous situation in the Cleveland quarterback room right now?
I mean, it's not a great spot to be in, but I'm not concerned about it. It can't be. I mean, could it be worse than what it was last year? And he did what he did. So that's kind of where, that I would kind of look at his rookie year as more of his, baseline worst case scenario. Maybe there's I don't think he had a ton of touchdowns, but he did. But that would be the concern, just with the scoring opportunities with Cleveland. But I think the receptions and opportunities are going to be there. Who else do they have other than Jerry Jeudy? And, there's not a lot of other competition there for targets. So I would feel comfortable no matter what the quarterback situation is. And assuming they would address it, it would only help. But, yeah, I would feel pretty confident there that that's kind of the worst case scenario in a sense from last year.
And throwing up those stats that Balky did, Kevin, we look back to last year's combine, and we have to take testing. You're right to remind the listeners to take testing results with a dose of caution. However, Harold Fannin last year is a comparable player to some of these excellent performances that we're seeing. And you see those numbers, and man, that's impressive. So if there's a problem with the quarterback, if Cleveland straightens out the quarterback situation, what a boom for Harold Fannin that would be. I love Woody Marks. I've been a buyer on Woody Marks. I've been bullish on Woody Marks last year, and I could be wrong, but I think I got him in all of my dynasty drafts towards the very end. I think that's correct. And I looked at the year that he had, and I said it's a good start. Statistically, at 3.5 yards a carry is not anything to get you excited, but he's still a very, very hard runner, and he had a lot of carries, and he caught the ball well, and he scored catching the ball. And I see room for him to grow. Your thoughts on Woody Marks, especially in the dynasty world? Did I just like him better than everyone else? Should I go into the trade rooms and try to pick up Woody Marks because nobody likes him as much as I do? Or do you think, and Balky might have some early draft information on him, do you think that there's going to be more people that join me on the Woody Marks bandwagon this year?
I'm not with you, Ferrell.
Boy, look at there. Look at there. You're not with me.
You know what's funny about that is I could tell Kevin was trying, how do I be diplomatic?
You don't have to be diplomatic, Kevin. You're the champion. You got to say, Ferrell, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Move right on. What did Aykroyd used to tell Jane Curtin, Balky?
Jane, you ignorant slut.
There you go. Some variation of that, Kevin, will be fine. Just go right ahead.
Fair. We're all wrong all the time. So,
no, sir, you're not.
And I'm not saying it's the same situation as Damian Pierce, but you get this draft capital sometimes, and it's out of opportunity that he did well. So that's where I'm looking at it from. If I can, I'm not trying to look just to get rid of him in Dynasty. I'm not. But if the right opportunity came, or I can get the right price, I would do so. I know, Joe Mixon, that whole situation, and Nick Chubb, I think that was just a 1-year deal. So,
is your dislike of this player specific, talent specific, or is it more just the situation that he's in?
I think he's fine. I don't think he's, I think if another person came in similar to his skill set, they would just split. There's someone that could be better than him. That's kind of why I look at it.
All right,
it was just more opportunity last year, in my opinion.
Boy, Kevin, they'll have you to thank in my dynasty leagues when I send out all these 7th round, 2027 7th round draft picks for Woody Marks. I'll be sending those out to all my dynasty.
I will say,
it's a great deal for you.
I'll say this about Marks. So if I had him, and I may or may not have him in a dynasty league. I don't think I have him more than 1 or 2. If anybody offers me anything in the first round or the top half of the second round, I immediately do that. Like that's fine. I'll whatever. Back half of the second, I probably should say yes. Here's why I wouldn't at this point. Who was it last year, guys, that and it's escaping me right now. There was a running back that we just assumed was going to be like, they weren't going to survive the draft. They weren't going to survive free agency. And somehow they did. And it was a running back that we just assumed would either be the backup or a committee guy. And then the team didn't draft anybody. They didn't sign anybody. And all of a sudden this guy was like still the guy in that backfield. I can't remember who it was, but anyway.
Well, I don't think this is who you're thinking of, Eric, but I remember Chase Brown last year.
That was the name I was thinking of.
But his value would have been a little bit higher. But that's who I was thinking of when you were talking.
Right. So maybe this is more of like a poor man's Chase Brown situation where there is a non-zero chance, because we're hearing, Kenneth Walker, maybe to Houston, or maybe they're interested in Travis Etienne, or obviously that would kill Woody Marks' value. It would probably put him back to sort of his normal third down sort of like pass catching role, which I think he's very good at. And I think he will be very good at in the pros. However, because of the chance that this guy, who the heck knows what the Texans are going to do, he could survive the draft. He could survive free agency, and maybe still, obviously they're going to bring in, if they do that, they're still going to bring in like some sort of Nick Chubb-esque player, right? To compete with Woody Marks, not compete with them, but at least share the backfield with them. And if that happens again this year, then all of a sudden Woody Marks is looking pretty good. And I would rather have him than a back half of the second round. I'll take the chance right now in front half of the second round. You can have him, and we'll deal with it then. But there is a chance, and that's sort of how I'm treating Woody Marks right now.
I'm over here releasing him right now. I'm letting him go and clear space on my dynasty team.
There's plenty of opportunity. Fair. There's plenty of opportunity. You could acquire him cheap, just depending, as Eric just said, depending on the situation. If you really believe in him, you might have to pay a little bit more. But yeah, it's that beauty of fantasy. You take these gambles and they can pay off big, and you're looking great.
Well, I hope he gets a chance to be the guy, because I think he's a hard runner, and I think, just player I'm rooting for.
Yeah, he did well last year.
He did.
Speaking of doing well last year, Kevin, you see all those trophies Balky's arranged on that trophy case back there over the right shoulder? You look at that.
Well, I just keep focusing on the Seinfeld thing. I've always noticed that, and I was like, I'm a big Seinfeld fan too. So I always see that. That's what stands out to me. But
if you can work it in sometime between now and the end of the show to get to question Balky about a Seinfeld episode, it'll be great.
We can do that. By the way, did you guys notice? I think you're both on the Dynasty email list the day after Robert Duvall passed away. How many Robert Duvall movie references I weaved into that email? There's like 15 of them. I was pretty proud of myself. I haven't accomplished a lot in life, but that's hanging in the pantheon right now for me.
About as good as it gets.
It was. Now, I'll tell you, speaking of as good as it gets, I thought the first 3 years of Garrett Wilson was not going to be as good as it gets. And then I saw him play last year, Kevin, and I'm like, maybe we've seen the ceiling for Wilson now that we know he's going to be on the Jets, and we know that their quarterback situation isn't great. Now, on Insider Access, I said I had tipped Major on for Football Guys and Rotoballer, and I was asking him a question about Garrett Wilson. And as I'm asking it, I was looking at Wilson's stats, which obviously we can all agree they were really good his first 3 years. Last year, they weren't that great, but he only played in 7 games. But if you extrapolate those stats out for a full season, and I'm not saying he would have done what he did in those 7 games over the course of a 17-game season, but he was on pace to do something very close to what he did those first 3 years. And now, and I was asking myself out loud, God, I was so down on Garrett Wilson. Now I'm like, do I need to be down on Garrett Wilson? Do you think that dynasty players in the FFPC, Kevin, should be more bullish on Garrett Wilson, regardless of who his quarterback, offensive coordinator, pass catchers are not opposing wide receivers, his wide receiver teammates that are going to be competing for targets with him on the Jets? Should we be more bullish on Garrett Wilson this year?
I would be for the value. If you have him on your team, you just got to hold and hope and expect that he kind of meets it, because you're not going to get anything in return to what his potential baseline should be. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I and if you can acquire him for the right price, I would be in on that. I do have him on a team. And fortunately for that team, I'm trying to think. I think he's actually my 4th receiver. I'm not trying to brag, but I'm just like, that's, perfect situation. And if I could sell him for something at his high potential, I'd definitely be willing to do that. It's just getting the right value for him. But he's obviously talented. But he is limited to the Jets offense, and his touchdown, I think, is kind of capped too. So he'd have to, to be a top 15 receiver, he's going to have to, get to 8 to 10 touchdowns, I think, to kind of, get in the top 10. But by volume, I think he's going to be okay.
Kevin's not going to brag, so I have to keep bragging about it. He's not, just okay. Who's going to be bragging after the draft, Kevin, in the fantasy drafts, in the dynasty drafts? Because we just assume it's Jeremiah Love, but then what's going to happen after that? Who are the rookies you like? I mean, I've got a couple wide receivers, but I don't want to spoil your take on them. And naturally, we've already talked about the tight end, but I'm willing to hear as many rookies as you want to unwind. Who are some of your favorites early on that you really took a liking to in college, and now you're glad to see that they're moving on to pros? Who are some of your guys?
Yeah, a little bit opposite of last year with all that running back depth that we had there. And, the one that's intriguing to me, because, we do have the receivers, the wide receiver depth in this year, I think is pretty large, although, there's a couple at the top.
Good receivers.
But that I think it's Emmett Johnson from Nebraska. Is that correct?
Yep.
He has that receiving capability there. He had a lot of receptions in college, so that's intriguing to me, depending on where he would fall. As we know, in a PPR league, that is pretty enticing there. So he's one that's intriguing to me, depending where he falls, what round, what team. But that is someone that I'm, a little intrigued and excited by outside of the top receivers and obviously Jeremiah Love.
Okay, well, who are your couple top receivers?
We got I'm trying to think of the names off the top of my head.
Well, no, I know what you're doing here. You know who the top receivers are. Naturally, you're from Pennsylvania. Now, Balky, here's a problem we've got in geographical situations, prejudice in the situation of the show. We've got a guy on from Pennsylvania. The second number 2 receiver is out of the football powerhouse that always produces wide receivers that are fantastic stars in the NFL. Kevin won't say him because he's at Ohio State, and that's Tate. He just won't say it.
I am not a Penn State fan, by the way.
No, you don't have to
wrong with
be.
that.
You don't have to be, but you're in the state of Pennsylvania. So
I am one of the 5%ers that do not like Penn State.
You see, he won't even mention the words Ohio State. He wants to talk about Penn State.
Yeah,
Chris, we get off this question. Your contribution with Johnson is noted and appreciated. So we will move on from this last question.
I will ask you this, Kevin. Like, I think there's a big three that people have kind of settled on. Carnell Tate out of Ohio State, as Ferrell mentioned, Arizona State's Jordan Tyson, and then Mekhi Lemon out of USC.
Yep.
I mean, obviously we'll see what happens at the combine and going forward. Has any of those three separated himself from the other two for you right now?
Not really. I think to me, if I was picking at 102, in a rookie draft, at this point I would be at a toss up, because not knowing where these guys are going, draft capital would probably dictate who I would take.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Balky, you didn't mention Denzel Wash. You know how I love the big receivers.
Yeah.
So there's the next Michael Pittman, I think.
Denzel Boston.
Yeah.
If you look at it right now in the Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament, these guys are basically being separated by one round, these three rookie receivers. Tate is at the 606, Lemon 708, Tyson 709. And now, granted, that's redrafted, not dynasty, but still, you can kind of see how FFPC players are valuing these guys. They haven't really separated, FFPC players haven't seen one of these guys separate. Maybe Tate.
Are they doing anything with Boston?
Boston's not going until the 12th round.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
And then I like Concepcion quite a bit. He's not going until the 13th. So he's even later than these guys, which is I would think Concepcion in a redraft format should be going a little bit higher than 13th, but what do I know?
Yeah, I would tend to be in more on the guys that are falling, those 4 or 5 receivers, just for the potential and the value.
You have the two Indiana guys, Surratt and Cooper, in the 17th round, Chris Bell in the 19th, and then just a cavalcade of guys in the 19th. Bell, Ferrell, help me out. Chris Brazel, or is it Brazel?
I'm not really sure about.
Okay, we're going to go with Brazel. Malachi Fields, Zechariah Branch, Ted Hurst, all going in the 19th.
Oh, I love that Ted Hurst.
Speedy guy, Georgia State, baby. Okay, let's get to a couple of emails, Kevin. How are we doing on time? We're doing okay on time. We should have a couple of emails here. The first one comes to us, and I just had it in front of me. I got to find it here. Okay, Bill in Westerville, Ohio. This is another good rookie question. Is Ashton Genty's rookie season scaring you off of Jeremiah Love this year? I assume this is a redraft question. Bill didn't say it, but Bill, we appreciate the email. Kevin, what do you think about that? Does knowing how Genty's rookie year turned out that maybe did not live up to people who drafted him, does that scare you off of taking Jeremiah Love in a redraft league?
No, that wouldn't. I mean, we've seen that before with other like top rookies, and then they come back and are fine. Not saying that Bijan was one of those disappointing rookie seasons, but Genty showed that he has the talent, and it just the situation just wasn't the best. And I would almost think that's kind of baseline worst case scenario for Genty. I'm not saying the sky's the limit for him either, but he'll be fine. Is kind of how I see it.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it too. I'm with you, by the way. And I kind of, I drafted all those teams at the Super Bowl at Caesars, Ferrell, a couple of weeks ago. I got Jeremiah Love on 0.0 teams, which is super frustrating. Running back 11 right now at the 209 in the Never Too Early tournament. So, I mean, if you want him, you can get him. Depending upon where you're picking, you should have a good crack at Jeremiah Love this year. And I love me some Love.
Love you some love.
Yeah,
Kevin, is he going to be the number one dynasty pick in all our drafts? You just pencil in Love and move on.
I would say 99%.
Got you.
Yeah.
The only way I say he wouldn't be is if you're in a super flex and your quarterback starved, then I think you would take Mendoza over Love. But that's it's a unique situation. I don't know how many people would be in that situation.
Yeah, I could see a quarterback, just not Mendoza. It would have to be, someone special. But
I got a question.
People
for
make
you
decisions,
I got a question for you guys about young quarterbacks. It may keep me from drafting rookie quarterbacks because, but here's a trivia question.
Oh,
in the AFC, how many quarterbacks are 30 years and younger? In just the AFC.
Starters, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Starters. How many of the starting
quarterbacks are 30 and younger?
You shout it out when you got a feel for it. We can't think about it. So you got
13.
How many?
13.
You
13.
got 16 teams there.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll say, I don't know, 10.
Yeah, you guys are good. All of them.
Oh,
all of them.
And
that's what makes me think.
It's like I'm just rattling on. It's like there's probably a couple I'm missing, but
yeah, Mahomes is 30, Jackson's 29, everybody else younger.
Okay,
and that's what makes me think, why would I want to draft a rookie quarterback? These guys got plenty. Just sometimes thinking about it.
One more email here for you, Kevin. Ken in Charleston, South Carolina. Hey, Kevin, who's your favorite Bears pass catcher in 2026? Thank you, sir. That is Ken in Charleston, South Carolina. Ken, we appreciate the email. We've been talking a lot about the Bears on this show over the course of the last several weeks. And there's a lot of good ones to choose from. Odunze, Burden, Loveland, DJ Moore is still on the team. Throw in DeAndre Swift into that mix as well. Do you have a favorite Bears pass catcher this year, Kevin?
Loveland helped me for the super bracket. I have Loveland on a dynasty team. I'm going Loveland. If I have to go receiver, it is a little nerve-wracking to say Luther Burden just because it's still a little unknown and, you have Odunze there, but I would lean Burden there as a wide receiver. But Loveland is my top pass catcher.
He is the top pass catcher being drafted, obviously, tight end premium formats of the FFPC. Loveland is costing never too early drafters the 301 pick on average.
Okay.
Burden is going at the 508, and then we see Swift in the late 5th round. We see Odunze in the late 6th, DJ Moore going in the late 10th right now. Monangai actually going in the 7th round as well. I don't know. He is a pass catcher technically, but he's not a classic pass catcher.
You say 701 for Monangai?
Monangai is 703. Beg your pardon.
703
is where he's going right now. Yes,
that's a little higher than I would expect it. Okay.
Running back 26. Well, what do you make of that, Kevin? Because Swift is running back 24. Monangai is running back 26. You're surprised to see those guys that close?
I am. Yeah. I understand it. But here we are in February, so taking your shots and mixing it up a little bit. And
you know what I think goes into it a little bit is we're not totally sure Swift is going to be on the team in the fall. Like we think he is, right? But there's still a chance he might not be. He could be a cap casualty, and then all of a sudden Monangai would be the lead guy in that, and then you're getting the lead guy in the 7th round. Now, even if he's not the lead guy, I think he can still pay off 7th round draft capital. But that might be a little bit high for a backup at that point. So I think again, I'm just speculating as to why people are doing that, but I think that might be why.
Yeah.
Are you a Steelers fan by any chance?
I am a Detroit Lions fan.
Okay.
Make sense of all of this.
You're an interesting cat.
And I grew up here. I live here. So
I love that. I was beginning to, I think your assessment of running backs is you've never seen a running back you like. There's talent evaluators like that.
Now that I know you're a Lions guy, Kevin, let me ask you this. What scares you most about the Lions skill position players going forward, and why is it Sam Laporta's back?
I just think the way they performed after he left, it's still, if you're looking at it from an individual fantasy aspect, it is tough to predict outside of Amon-Ra. It is tough to predict the consistency of those pass catchers. Yeah. Because when Jamison Williams kind of took off, it was lined up with Laporta going out. So as much as I love Jamison Williams and I want them to use him, I just want to win on that team. But it's tough. It's tough to predict all that stuff with Amon-Ra and Gibbs.
Do you? I mean, like I say this a little tongue in cheek, but it was so weird last year that we didn't know Laporta was like hurt, or that he was playing. At least I didn't know he was playing through something. And then all of a sudden he was on IR, and then seemingly just as suddenly they said, yeah, he's not coming back this season, or he probably won't be back at all this season. And I was saying this last night on the show. Nobody ever said I used to have a bad back, and I'm wondering if dynasty players who have Laporta might be better off moving him now, because we don't know exactly how healthy that back is, and if it's going to continue to be a nagging problem. And oh, by the way, they have St. Brown, Williams, and Tesla, not to mention Jahmyr Gibbs on that team to catch passes too. So I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm just too down on Laporta right now, but you could call me out if you think I'm being a little.
I mean, that's an interesting take, because what news have we gotten since December, on it? So you could take your shot, try to buy low on him, but obviously he's talented. We've all seen what he can do. But yeah, I do worry about the consistency just because of the other options, especially in the short term. But yeah, injury wise, backs are backs. I mean, that's a tough injury there, especially if that's something serious that could just pop up again.
Yeah. Ferrell, I'm fresh out of emails, so it's on you.
Yeah, and before I get to my last question, Mr. Kevin and Mr. Eric, as we've talked about things tonight, there's just some things I have to do whenever we talk about Coastal Leveling and his great performance towards the end of the season. I got to tip my hat to our beloved Jacob Valich, who told us back in July that that's what he would do in the season. He said he would finish strong. And my buddy Rick Ross, Richard Ross out in Las Vegas, a noted Detroit fan, is a distant Detroit Lions supporter as well as you are, Kevin. So you're in good company there. And then I must point out, is to be the second reference here tonight, but Michael Pittman played this past season with a broken back. So I move on.
Well, thank you. That makes me feel a little bit better, Ferrell. Thank you.
Yes, he would say, "Well, no, it's not broken; it's fractured." That's my kind of guy, right there.
Spinal.
It's just my kind of guy. So, I want to hear outside of Woody Marks. I want to hear a player that you will not be rostering this year, and it can be a very good player. And I want you to go into depth with me about who that is, and then I want you to give me a real sleeper that you're going to bring in and continue to be a back-to-back champion and lock up that $10,000.
So do you want me to go through about 300 players right now?
Because you see, they're all running backs. Balky, they're all running backs. Guys, your running back list. Yeah. They're all running backs. So go ahead, Kevin.
I don't know how I'm drafting a Tennessee Titan this year.
Oh, I like that.
I mean, or a Jet. Like, those are the two teams I would just kind of be. I mean, obviously, at some point, someone's a value, but I would just kind of. I'm just trying to think of.
Well, let me hold on before you move on. Let me just, because I think I have heard a lot of pundits and players out there, not a lot, but some of them are kind of bullish on the Titans this year. With new head coach, new offensive coordinator, Cam Ward really came on the last month and a half of the season. They have all this cash that they can, bring in, a wide receiver, perhaps another tight end. I heard, Jeremiah Love is a possibility for them as well at running back. So I'm curious. I mean, but it seems like you are not drinking that Kool-Aid, Kevin.
Well, I mean, Jeremiah Love, that's just should be a great running back. But that division has really good defenses. I mean, Jacksonville, Houston were really good defenses. You got to play them twice a year. You still got a young quarterback there. I mean, I just don't know what the weapons are. I mean, DK was, showed signs there. The rookie tight end, I'm blanking on his name. Gunnar Helm. He showed, they have opportunities there. It's just, I just from a fantasy aspect, I just don't see a lot of opportunity. So that's I mean, that's my take on that. But yeah, an individual player is tough to. I will say, 2 years ago, I was a little out on Justin Jefferson because of the Sam Darnold and the unknown there, and then he just did what he usually did.
Right.
And then last year, okay, he's quarterback proof, and I went on. That didn't work out. So, but I would think this year would be an opportunity for Justin Jefferson. Is he outside of the first round now so far?
Barely. He is. I'm loaded up right now. I think he's an early second round guy. Just give me 1 second here. We are looking at Justin Jefferson, 204. He's fallen to.
Yeah. So I mean, I'd be in on that. I mean, a special receiver like that. But Ferrell, I don't know if I answered your question or not. I apologize, but I tried to give you some kind of input on what you were saying.
Were you ever in politics? Were you ever? And we're also going, and this is very positive commentary about your presentation here tonight. We're giving out awards. Balky doesn't know anything about this, but they're called Balkies, and we're going to give out awards for all contributions to the show to mark our move to Wednesday night. And you're already nominated for sound. You have, you're coming in better. Your sound is fantastic. Now lighting, we've got a little bit where you didn't get a nomination for lighting this year, and set decoration is limited. So for your next appearance when you win next year, you can work on those things. But you're the front runner for a Balky. You really are.
I appreciate that, and all the negativities that you just said, totally warranted.
Well, those are just things you can do next time. But the sound overwhelms. You wouldn't believe how many people have come in, and it's been tough with sound.
Ferrell, I don't know if you have my actual address, but I would like a pair of socks.
Oh, yeah.
Damn straight you'll get them, too.
Absolutely.
The design team is working on them. They will be mailed out before August 1st. Proper KFFSC logo. Thank you for remembering.
This was a lot of fun, Kevin. I'm so glad we had you on. Congratulations once again on the Super Bracket title. Will we see you at Planet Hollywood this September?
Oh yeah,
I hope so. I was there last year. I had a good time for I won't get into that right now, but I had a good time there. I was talking with my brother a couple weeks ago, and we're actually going to Vegas in a couple weeks for March Madness.
Nice.
So we've been doing that for 20 plus years now, and we're talking. He's like, oh, we're gonna do the FFPC.
Where do you headquarter for the March Madness? Where do you headquarter for that?
It depends every year.
Do you watch the games in the sports book?
For the most part, yes.
Do you bet on all the underdogs?
For the most part, yes. Underdog money lines.
Okay.
Yeah,
underdog money.
Yeah. We definitely contribute to that. Right or wrong, but we contribute.
Who is the team that beat Purdue in the first round a couple of years ago, and they had Edie, the 16 seed? I can't.
That was the second time that happened.
Second time, yeah. Somebody beat Virginia.
Yes.
Earlier, a couple of years before that. But yeah, I remember watching that Purdue game with my kid, and he didn't really understand the magnitude of what was going on. Like, you don't understand. You see that 16 by that team's name on the screen? That means they should be blown out. And they were beating. That was a lot of fun watching that for sure.
Well, you've got to come to Planet Hollywood to receive your Balky. So, you're going to just have to be there.
Separate ceremony. We'll be there.
Makes sense.
Hosted by Ferrell Elliott. And I'll be in attendance as well. Kevin, whether we see you not in Planet Hollywood, I want to wish you good luck this season. Enjoy drafting season. Enjoy the rookie drafts coming up for your dynasty leagues. Enjoy the combine this weekend. And most of all, thank you so much for making us a part of your Friday night this evening. This was great, dude. And we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. Thank you.
You got it. That is Kevin Schonewolf, ladies and gentlemen, the Super Bracket champion for the FFPC in 2025. Great stuff from him. Had a lot of fun with Kevin. We got to hopefully hook up with him at Planet Hollywood. You never know, Ferrell. Maybe we'll see him in at Caesars one of these years.
He would certainly be welcome. You know, he's a guy that gets it and enjoys it, and he's there to win, but he's also there. He's there for a good time too.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, my buddy El Grande is headed out to Las Vegas. He's in a golf tournament out there, but he's also playing poker. He's out there for 11 days, Ferrell. 11 days.
El Grande's got a lot of interest.
Exactly. And I think he's leaving the day of the tournament. I think he leaves after the day the tournament starts. So he leaves on that Friday or something like that. And I'm like, well, you're going to be wiped after 11 days in Las Vegas. We will I'm going to postpone the emails till next Wednesday, because we'll be doing the show Wednesdays going forward. In case you missed the announcement at the top of the show, 10 p.m. Eastern time is when we're doing that show. And then, of course, HSFF Hour Extra Rep still airing Friday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern as well. Ferrell, I would encourage everybody to go to KFFSC.com and register for the slow main event drafts that you have open there, the slow draft masters that you have there. We have, what was the other one? Oh, the Sweet 16, I think. Is that
Sweet 16 Best Ball Championship, $100 leagues with good prizes within the 12-team divisions and a $3,000 grand prize. And the Fozzie Dog, Mr. Jeremy Brock, is our defending champion, and it says so on the logo.
He was on my flight leaving Louisville. He was going to Omaha, and I was going back to Wisconsin. I've never seen him move so fast, because his connecting flight was like super. It was super tight, man. He was out of there like a bat out of hell. But yeah, look forward to seeing Fozzie defend that. I'm going to try to take the crown from him, as well as everybody else participating this year. And you can do that right now by going to KFFSC.com and registering for not only the Sweet 16, but the main event and the Draft Masters going on there as well. Ferrell, I bid you adieu. We will hook up not next Friday, but next Wednesday. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. Thanks a lot. Enjoy your weekend and enjoy the combine.
Thank you, Bob.
You got it. That is Ferrell Elliott, the co-host with the most, the definitive commissioner of fantasy football. KFFSC.com is where to go to register to play in that. That will complete our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank Kevin Schonewolf, Ferrell Elliott, the FFPC, Rob Bryce, and of course, each and every one of you. Want to remind everybody that the FFPC Dynasty and Empire Dynasty Orphans are available for you at myffpc.com. Some as low as $1. Pick them up right now and play Dynasty fantasy football year-round. The Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament, Never Too Early Superflex Best Ball Tournament available as well as at myffpc.com. You can enter the original Dynasty Tournament, original Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament for a low price of $125. Be eligible for a $40,000 grand prize. Or if you don't like original recipe, try Extra Crispy with the Superflex. Just a $35 entry. You're still eligible for a $10,000 grand prize. Big Gorilla and Baby Gorilla live and slow drafts are filling. $350 entry for the Big Gorilla, $1 million grand prize. Check out that 7 Bananas promo that we have going on right now. And the clock is ticking on the early Rampage tournament. Make sure you're getting in on that to make yourself eligible for a second grand prize with the Big Gorilla as well. Baby Gorilla, $125 to enter. You can still win $100,000 if you take that tournament down. They're all available at myffpc.com, myffpc.com. We will be back next Wednesday, as I said, our new time slot, 10 p.m. Eastern time, 8-time 2025 FFPC Dynasty League champ. No, he hasn't won 8 Dynasty Leagues in his career at the FFPC. He won 8 Dynasty Leagues in the FFPC last year. Paul Brenton is going to join us live from the United Kingdom. So it'll be, I don't know, like 5 a.m. for him, but he insisted he wanted to come on. We're excited to have him on. He'll join us at 10 p.m. next Wednesday. We'll have extra reps, HSFF Hour Extra Reps coming up at next Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern time. So another half-hour podcast for you then. And then in case you missed Insider Access on the Better Sports Network on the FFPC socials, you can check it out. Football Guys and Roto Ballers Tip Major joined me for 2 hours. A lot of great stuff from Tip. And then we'll be back this coming Thursday for 2 hours, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time with Dynasty League Football's Michael Moore. He'll join me on that show. RotoViz High Stakes Lowdown is back. New month, new episode. Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Frank Nunes, the 2024 Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament 6th place finisher and a winner of, I don't know, dozens of FFPC leagues. He's going to join me for the hour on Tuesday night starting at 10 p.m. You can watch it right where you're watching here. So big week of shows next week. Tuesday, you got Frank Nunez. Wednesday, you got Paul Brenton. Thursday, you got Michael Moore. And then Friday, you get extra reps with me and Ferrell, which is going to be a lot of fun. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment on the video, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, and get notified each and every time we go live, which will be Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern time for the RotoViz High Stakes Lowdown. For Kevin Schonewolf, for Ferrell Elliott, I'm Eric Balkman. This has been the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. And for the last time, we'll be saying this for a while, at least live, your weekend officially starts now.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myffpc.com. It was broadcast live and was watched around the world. Balky and Ferrell will be back next week with more analysis, more interviews, and more advice from guests much smarter than they are. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk with you again next week.
If I can be a little bit selfish here tonight, I'll throw it up on the screen right now. I am one of the final 5 finalists for the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers Food Fight. This is something that they throw every year where they ask fans to throw recipes together, and the winner of that recipe will not only get their item on the menu. The Timber Rattlers, by the way, the high class A minor league baseball team here in Northeast Wisconsin. They'll get that their selection if they win the vote. They'll get their selection on the menu for that season for the Timber Rattlers. They'll also get to throw out a first pitch, 4 free tickets to a game, 4 free vouchers for their food item. I'm asking you humbly to go to timberrattlers.com. I got it up on the screen right now. That is timberrattlers.com. There's a link on the right-hand side of the screen talking about the food fight being down to the final 5. Click on that link, and then in that story, there's another link that you click on, and it'll take you to the form where you can vote. I would encourage you to vote for the Southwest Grand Slam. It is served on a brioche roll spread with avocado crema. It is a jalapeno cheddar brat split in half, topped with pickled onions, roasted corn, and black bean salsa, topped with cilantro and lime. My humble request of you is to go out there, vote there, and you can vote more than once. Vote early, vote often, vote for Balky, the Southwest Grand Slam at timberrattlers.com for the food fight. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching, listening, streaming, downloading, whatever. And thanks so much for the positive words on our move to Wednesdays, which begins next week. I will talk with you then.